My entire life, people have often used the words strong or resilient to describe me because of the hardship I've survived throughout the years. I know strength and resiliency are personality traits to aspire to, but to me, I wasn't really trying to be strong or resilient. I was just trying to get through my days the best way I knew how. It wasn't until after my mom died last year that I started to understand why people thought I was strong or resilient. It wasn't just because I had survived hardship, but that despite my grief and loss, I continued to ground myself in love and find ways to create moments of joy every day. Now that I've finally settled into Cozy Girl Fall, I thought I'd share some moments of joy during my days in October. Fall is without a doubt my favorite season of the year. I feel like it creates space for us to slow down and check in with ourselves, and I naturally fall into the habit of romanticizing my days. Fall is also the last season that my mom and I shared together, so it has a special place in my heart. I know that different people understand romanticizing differently. For me, romanticizing my days means receiving the moments in my days as the most attractive they could be. And no, this doesn't mean seeing the world through rose colored glasses. It's more like having the audacity to create moments of joy throughout the day, despite experiencing grief and loss. It's about grounding ourselves in love and daring to have an open heart, even after our hearts have been broken in the past. It's about knowing with such certainty that we deserve to live life to the fullest. Romanticizing my days can look like moving through hard moments of my day with care. When I have a chore that I really need to get done, but I don't feel motivated to get up and do it, I pair my chore with a little treat like some bubble tea. Or when I plan to go out to a bubble tea store to get some work done, but then wake up with a really bad chronic pain flare up, I focus on treating my pain with heat packs and work from my bed and order in bubble tea instead. The other day, while baking some pizzas, I dropped the baking pan while taking it out of the oven, and pizza fell all over the oven floor. I was so frustrated with the fact that I had lost some pizza and that I now had to clean up the mess, and just looking at the oven made me sad. So, to reclaim my relationship with my oven, I decided to bake some chocolate chip cookies. Now, I'm a mom and we are in Cozy Girl Fall, aka we don't have time to be baking cookies from scratch. So, yes, I bought a chocolate chip cookie mix. I know my mom would be rolling in her grave at the idea of me using a baking mix, but I also think she would never guess these cookies were made from a mix. That's right, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I'm gonna show you how to make your chocolate chip cookie mix taste delicious. All it comes down to is understanding a few ingredients and how you can make the most of them. The cookie mix I picked asks us to just add half a cup of butter and eggs and bake. I'm going to add 3 more ingredients and 3 more steps and take these cookies to a whole new level. It only takes 15 minutes of active preparation, so still a very low effort recipe. We're going to start by browning the half cup of butter in a pan or pot over medium heat. The butter will start to melt and then foam and then slowly turn brown. You'll know the butter is ready when you see grainy solids at the bottom of your pan and when the butter starts to smell divine. Using brown butter instead of softened butter brings an additional depth of flavor that cookie mixes often lack. You're going to transfer the butter to a bowl and let it cool down. And because I didn't want to twiddle my thumbs while waiting for the butter to cool, I spent those 10 minutes roughly chopping up some walnuts and toasted them in the same pan. Toasting nuts brings out more of their flavor and makes their texture crispier. I figured nuts would enhance the nuttiness of these cookies alongside the butter. I stirred the walnuts into the butter along with some cinnamon. Also, I swear every time you interact with this butter, it releases a heavenly, nutty aroma that makes this recipe so much more enjoyable. I also chopped up around 500 grams of chocolate into chunks and kept it to the side to top the cookies later. Unlike chocolate chips, chocolate chunks spread into little pools, making the chocolate chip cookies look and taste so much more indulgent. Once the butter is cool, I added in the beaten egg and the chocolate chip cookie mix. I mixed it gently until just combined and then transferred it to a fridge to chill for an hour. Chilling cookie dough before baking helps to solidify the fat and prevent the cookies from spreading too thin. And voila, there you have it, irresistible chocolate chip cookies. Crispy on the outside and soft in the middle. If you give this recipe a try, do let me know what you think in the comments below. When talking about romanticizing my days, I want to emphasize that this isn't a state of mind that comes easily to me. I need to be in the right headspace to romanticize my days. And this is where leaning into meditative practices has been really helpful for me. I find repetitive tasks really meditative because they tend to calm my mind. My favorite repetitive tasks are doodling, watering plants, combing my hair, rereading a couple of pages of my favorite book, or refilling up jars in my kitchen. If being at home is not the best space to calm my mind at that moment, I spend some time by my window and notice as the day shifts from morning to afternoon to evening and allow my mind to wander far away. If that isn't enough for me, I go for a walk and embrace nature around me. When I pause during the months of fall, I can't help but notice how beautiful the leaves of the trees are. If being outside doesn't feel great for me, I love going to a nearby coffee shop to get some work done. I really love going to bubble tea stores because one bubble tea is like drinking and eating, so it satisfies my tummy for a while and I end up spending less than $10 for a whole 5-hour work session. I also love checking out immigrant cafes nearby because they tend to be more affordable and just have this energy about them that is unmatched. There are days when the best way to calm my mind is actually to calm my body. So I immerse myself in a hot bath, sometimes filled with medicine, often by the light of a candle. When talking about romanticizing our days, I also want to acknowledge that not everyone might feel like they have access to this way of living, not just spiritually, but materially. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of little treat culture. Yes, to treating yourself to a little treat for getting the smallest tasks done. Life can be so unnecessarily hard. We do deserve the most for doing the least. We do deserve to feel like we're living a life of abundance. But I also sincerely believe that living a life of abundance is not just accessible to people with money. You'll be surprised by how creative we can be. Knowing that I don't have much of a budget to buy bubble teas these days, when I do go out for bubble tea, I save the last bit of pearls that never gets finished at the same time as the tea, and I make a hot milk tea the next day at home and add in the pearls. Next day tapioca isn't the best in cold drinks, but you'd be surprised by how good it is in hot drinks. And suddenly I have a double dose of bubble tea. So many more doors open up for us when we decide to have the audacity to live life in abundance. When the seasons shift from hot girl summer to cozy girl fall, I love shifting my home decor to reflect the beauty of fall. According to the ancient teachings of Ayurveda, we are elements of nature and nature lives within us. Seeing nature reflected all around me in my home is such a grounding reminder of the beauty that lives within us. So, of course, I went to Michael's in October because that's when all their fall decor is 50% off. And I also used a 30% off coupon. And I also used my partner's teacher's discount. And I picked 3 things that I loved. A cozy vase filler with pumpkins, pine cones, fall leaves, and cinnamon. A beeswax battery operated candle, and a candle that makes your house smell of stewed apples. And I paid just $5. That's right, $5 for decor at Michael's. I replaced the dried lavender from my vase from the summer with the fall filler, and added some dried baby's breath from the lavender bunch. Side note, I love using dried flowers in vases when I can't afford to buy fresh flowers. I bought this lavender bunch a year ago and it still has such a strong scent. I love placing a vase in the middle of a tray on my dinner table so that I can add things around it and then keep my dining table clutter-free. I like to add some coasters. These 2 are resin coasters that our friend Vanessa made. And this coaster was a gift from my childhood best friend Jessica's wedding from her town's local pottery shed. I also like to keep a jar of packaged snacks for me to grab when I'm breastfeeding, and a jar of napkins that we collect whenever we order in takeout. This one is an old Indian masala jar, but I thought it fit perfectly since the lettering is coincidentally in fall colors. I added a cookie jar because this house is full of cookie monsters. And then finally added the beeswax candle from Michael's because I felt like we were missing some yellow in this tray. I'm no interior designer, but I think these pieces really complement the vase in the middle. I didn't want to throw the lavender out, so I added it back to a vase in my bedroom because I use a lot of lavender scents in there anyway. And then I added a rose that I dried upside down to add a pop of fall while still keeping the blue and purple colors of my bedroom. Consumerism and capitalism will try to convince us that we need to spend money to redecorate our homes every season, but I do it for free all the time by just mixing up the decor I already have at home or using pieces you might not traditionally see as decor. I love draping tapestries or scarves over the ledges in my home and placing toys or table weights that match fall colors or feelings on top. I use different colored books that match fall colors to fill up awkward spaces that aren't super functional. And I use big tableware as centerpieces and fill them up with snacks that might bring people who come over joy. I also love to save decor from events that I organize if I feel like I can reuse them at home. I used fake flowers for corsages and dried pourri as confetti at my wedding. And I now use the corsages to tie my curtains up during the day and the pourri in this centerpiece bowl to fill up empty space. This little sign here is from when my mom and I used to sell baked goods at farmers markets, and I like to switch up the lettering every month depending on what's happening in that season. The more traditional decor pieces I do have at home have been collected over the last few decades as I have moved from country to country, continent to continent, carrying with me pieces of the spaces and people that I love. Having sentimental pieces everywhere I look is what makes my space the coziest, in my opinion. When thinking of decor, I like to expand my understanding to further than just the items in my home. I love dressing in fall colors, lots of browns when I go out or even at night when I sleep. And I change my deodorant scent from a flowery rose lavender to a warmer sandalwood vanilla. I think scent is such a powerful sense to activate, which is why I love brewing my fall pourri on the stove. I often find the kitchen exhaust systems in North America to be really poor. Whenever you cook anything, the whole house tends to smell of it. So I was like, how can I take advantage of this? And that's where my fall pourri comes in. In a pot over medium heat, add water to the top and throw in apples, oranges, and spices. I love to use cinnamon, cardamom, nutmeg, star anise, and cloves. This is a great way to use up old spices and fruit. I actually did even have old oranges for this video. I just saved the peel of some oranges I had a while back and froze them. until I was ready to make my pourri. This makes your entire place smell so cozy. I live in a really small apartment, so a small pot is enough for me, but you might need to use a bigger pot if you have a bigger house. In addition to its delicious scent, this pourri also adds moisture to the air, which is so needed during drier months. I don't know about you, but I often feel so weighted down by the state of the world and the well-being of my loved ones. And if you feel that way too, I hope this video was a reminder that we actually weren't put on this earth to suffer. It's so important that we remember that we deserve love and joy, so that we fight for our right to live fully. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If this video resonated with you, you might also be interested in some of my other videos about living our best cozy lives. I've shared them on the screen so that you can easily access them. That's all for now. Bye.